Oh, her warning.
Yeah, this is a girl who says that man
well,
has trouble.
This did happen to me, and it was a he. And I went right ahead and married the guy, and it was Gary.
Before Lucille Ball passed away, she left behind more than laughter and television history. Hidden in old interviews, private conversations, and behind-the-scenes stories were sharp warnings about actresses she believed were far from sweet off-camera. These were women the public adored, but insiders feared. Power struggles, ruthless ambition, betrayal, and cruelty all hid behind perfect smiles. Join us in this video as we uncover 7 actresses Lucille Ball quietly exposed as truly toxic forces in Hollywood. What she revealed shocked those who knew the industry best, and it may completely change how you see classic TV icons. Ava Gardner, beauty with a taste for cruelty. What kind of woman could make Lucille Ball say she enjoyed the pain she caused? According to Lucille, that woman was Ava Gardner. Ava had something sharper than talent, something Lucille believed was far more dangerous: beauty mixed with cruelty. Their feud didn't start with a misunderstanding or a rivalry over roles. It began when Ava deliberately targeted people she saw as beneath her. Lucille witnessed it firsthand one afternoon in the mid-1960s during an MGM wardrobe fitting. A young assistant nervously presented Ava with a freshly steamed dress. There was a tiny flaw, just a slight softening of a seam from too much steam, barely noticeable. Ava stared at the girl for a moment, then spoke slowly and coldly. "Don't bother fixing it. You can't fix incompetence with more incompetence." The room went silent. The girl froze, completely humiliated. Lucille, standing nearby, felt her chest tighten. This wasn't diva behavior. This wasn't stress or perfectionism. This was pleasure. Pleasure taken in dominating someone who couldn't fight back. Later, Lucille told a confidant, Ava didn't make mistakes. She made victims. Things only got worse. At an industry cocktail party not long after, someone casually mentioned Lucille's name in conversation. Ava smirked and said loudly enough for others to hear, "Oh, the washed-up clown. She's still working?" Gasps filled the room. Ava didn't flinch. She didn't care. To Lucille, the cruelty felt deliberate, sharpened like a blade meant to cut deep. Lucille believed Ava's beauty blinded people to the rot underneath. If she hadn't been beautiful, she once told a friend, no one would have tolerated who she really was. The two women never reconciled. Ava's beauty aged into Hollywood legend, but Lucille's memory of her aged into pure disgust. And even in her final years, whenever Ava Gardner's name appeared in a magazine or documentary, Lucille would quietly mutter the same words. People have no idea what she was behind the face. But aside from Ava Gardner, who else made it to Lucille Ball's evil list? Keep watching to find out. Judy Garland, talent that left wreckage behind. This one surprises many people. Judy Garland is remembered as one of Hollywood's most beloved figures, a fragile, brilliant soul, crushed by the cruelty of the studio system. Publicly, Lucille Ball often spoke with admiration about Judy's extraordinary talent. She praised her voice, her presence, and the magic she brought to the screen. But in private, according to those closest to Lucille, her feelings were far more complicated. Lucy adored Judy's talent, a longtime friend of Ball once revealed, but she was brutally honest about the damage Judy caused. Lucille believed genius didn't excuse the chaos left behind. As she often put it, talent doesn't give you the right to destroy other people's careers. Ball and Garland had known each other since their early MGM days, crossing paths again and again over the years. The contrast between them couldn't have been sharper. Lucille built her career on reliability and discipline. Judy, tragically, became known for the opposite, arriving hours late, missing performances entirely, or showing up too impaired to work. What troubled Lucille most wasn't Judy's personal demons, it was the collateral damage. Crew members sitting on set for hours, producers bleeding money from missed schedules, lesser-known co-stars quietly losing opportunities when entire productions collapsed. A television director who worked closely with Lucille in the 1970s recalled her describing one painful incident. The entire crew had arrived on set at 5 in the morning, waiting for Judy to appear. She finally arrived at 2 in the afternoon, performed flawlessly for 30 minutes, then announced she was too exhausted to continue. An entire day of production was lost. The next day, the producer fired 3 crew members to cover the budget overrun. Lucille said that was the part that haunted her. This hit especially close to home for Ball. She had climbed her way up from B-movies and radio roles, surviving setback after setback through sheer grit and professionalism. To her, wasting immense talent through self-destruction felt almost criminal. Judy was always late, always a mess, and someone always got fired for it, Lucille reportedly said during a private dinner in the late 1970s. And everyone made excuses because when she showed up, she was magic. But the body count around her was real. Lucille's perspective may sound harsh, but it reflected her deepest belief about Hollywood, that even the brightest stars owe something to the hundreds of unseen people who make their success possible. When Judy Garland died in 1969, Lucille publicly mourned the loss of a great talent. Privately, friends say she saw Judy's life as a tragic warning. Addiction, Lucille believed, doesn't just destroy the person who suffers from it. It sends ripples outward, damaging countless others. Lucy wasn't without compassion. She understood the studio system had hurt Judy deeply, but she refused to pretend that pain made it acceptable to pass that damage on to others. The next person on the list might come as a surprise. But why did Lucille Ball expose her as evil? Let's find out. Zsa Zsa Gabor, smiling while holding the knife. When Zsa Zsa Gabor's name came up, Lucille Ball didn't groan or roll her eyes. She laughed. Lucille didn't fear Zsa Zsa, and she didn't resent her fame or her looks. What she truly hated was something deeper: fraudulence. To Lucille, Zsa Zsa was fake down to the bone. She wasn't just dramatic or spoiled. In Lucille's eyes, Zsa Zsa was a walking performance, a woman who weaponized charm while quietly treating people like disposable props. The elegance, the accent, the warmth, it was all an act. And once Lucille saw behind the curtain, she couldn't unsee it. Her disgust began at a charity event in the late 1960s. Cameras flashed as Zsa Zsa swept into the room, draped in diamonds and furs, smiling like royalty. But the moment the photographers walked away, the mask dropped. A volunteer politely guided her toward a table. Zsa Zsa snapped without hesitation, "I don't sit with peasants." Lucille witnessed it from across the room. That one sentence told her everything she needed to know. Then came the moment that truly turned her stomach. A young volunteer, barely 20 years old, accidentally brushed against Zsa Zsa's coat. Instead of correcting her calmly, Zsa Zsa leaned in close and whispered, "Sweetheart, you touch my coat again, and I'll make sure you never work an event in this town again." She said it with a sweet smile, almost like she was offering advice. Lucille felt sick watching it happen. Later that night, Lucille vented to a close colleague. "Nothing about her is real," she said. "Not the accent, not the elegance, not even the kindness." To Lucille, fake kindness was worse than open cruelty. A fake person could disarm people. A fake person could fool the world. Zsa Zsa never changed. Decades later, when she slapped a Beverly Hills police officer in 1989, Lucille wasn't shocked at all. She simply said, "There she is, the real one." Lucille never forgave her. And in Lucille Ball's eyes, the most dangerous kind of evil is the kind that smiles while it stabs. From ruthless charm to merciless talent. Stay tuned to find out the next actress on Lucille Ball's list. Bette Davis. Talent sharper than her mercy. Bette Davis was undeniably one of the greatest actresses of Hollywood's golden age. Her career spanned decades, and her performances helped define American cinema itself. On screen, her intensity was legendary. But according to those closest to Lucille Ball, that intensity barely compared to how Davis behaved when the cameras weren't rolling. Lucy admired Bette's talent enormously, a longtime friend of Ball once revealed, but she used to say Bette Davis could melt celluloid with her stare, and the only thing bigger than her talent was her cruelty. The two legends crossed paths many times over the years, but their most revealing encounter reportedly happened at an industry dinner in the mid-1960s. Several attendees recalled Davis spending the evening belittling waitstaff, interrupting other speakers, and making caustic remarks about colleagues who weren't even present. Ball, seated at a nearby table, was invited to join Davis's group. She declined. Turning to her host, Lucille reportedly said, "I'd rather keep my skin intact tonight." What bothered Lucille most wasn't just Davis's famously sharp tongue. It was how she aimed that tongue at people who couldn't fight back. Davis developed a reputation for tearing into makeup artists, costume designers, and junior actors, often reducing them to tears, and sometimes even demanding their firing if they failed to meet her exact standards. Lucy once overheard Bette ripping into a young actress on a neighboring soundstage, recalled a former studio employee. The actress had mispronounced a single word in a scene. Davis spent 5 full minutes shredding her in front of the entire crew, sneering and asking if she'd learned to read in a reformatory. Lucille was so appalled that she went directly to the director to complain about allowing that kind of behavior. What made it worse in Lucille's eyes was that Bette Davis truly was extraordinary. Unlike some difficult stars who hid insecurity behind arrogance, Davis had genuine, rare talent. That made her cruelty even harder to excuse. Lucy felt the truly great should lift others up, not tear them down, her friend explained. She used to say, when you reach the top, you have a responsibility to be better, not worse. Despite her private distaste, Lucille never denied Davis's contributions to film. When Bette appeared on a television special honoring women in entertainment, Lucille participated without complaint. However, she reportedly requested that they not be scheduled for any one-on-one interactions. It wasn't that Lucy was afraid of Bette, her friend clarified. She just saw no reason to spend time with someone who took pleasure in making others miserable, no matter how talented they were. This next actress disturbed Lucille Ball. Who could she be? Let's find out. Joan Crawford. Glamour hiding a heart of ice. Lucille Ball met plenty of difficult actresses in her lifetime, but no one disturbed her quite like Joan Crawford. To the public, Crawford was the definition of old Hollywood glamour. Perfect posture, flawless makeup, dripping in diamonds. But Lucille saw something far colder beneath the surface, a woman who used elegance as camouflage. Crawford was the one who made Lucille say quietly to a friend, "All she has is glamour. Underneath is nothing but ice." The moment that sealed it came in 1971, when Joan Crawford appeared as a guest on Here's Lucy. From the second Crawford arrived on set, Lucille felt the temperature drop, both literally and emotionally. Crawford demanded that the studio be kept at exactly 68 degrees. Her chair had to be angled just right. The lighting had to be adjusted to flatter her bone structure. Lucille didn't argue. She'd worked with stars long enough to understand quirks. What happened next was different. A young wardrobe assistant, only 22 years old, brought Crawford a dress with a tiny wrinkle barely anyone could see. Crawford didn't calmly point it out. She exploded. Witnesses heard her hiss, "You're a useless little nothing. Toilets would be lucky to have you." The girl burst into tears and ran off. Crawford then demanded she be fired on the spot. Lucille refused, and in that quiet moment of defiance, her private hatred of Joan Crawford was born. When the cameras finally rolled, Crawford transformed instantly. She became charming, gracious, and dazzling. The red light went off, and she froze again, cold, stiff, empty. Later, Lucille whispered, "I've worked with department store mannequins who felt more human." To Lucille, that wasn't just an insult. It was a diagnosis. Joan Crawford wasn't simply cold. She was performing humanity instead of living it. Lucille believed the way someone treated powerless people revealed their true character. And in her eyes, Crawford failed that test completely. Until Lucille's final days, Joan Crawford remained the woman she considered truly, unmistakably evil. Keep watching to find out the next evil actress on Lucille Ball's list. Shelley Winters. A storm no one could calm. Shelley Winters reinvented herself in Hollywood. She went from a blonde bombshell in the 1940s to a deeply respected character actress, winning 2 Academy Awards and earning her place in film history. Her dramatic talent was never in question. But off-camera, according to countless accounts, Shelley became known for something else entirely. Uncontrolled rage, explosive outbursts, public confrontations, a temper so volatile that she was quietly feared throughout the industry. "Lucy saw Shelley as a storm in a dress," revealed a writer who worked closely with Lucille Ball in the 1970s. She used to say, "You never knew what version you were going to get. Calm waters or a Category 5 hurricane." Lucille's opinion wasn't formed from hearsay. It came from repeated encounters over the years. including a particularly revealing incident at a Hollywood fundraiser in the late 1960s. According to multiple witnesses, Winters became furious when she felt she wasn't getting enough recognition during the event. What followed was described by one attendee as a public meltdown of epic proportions. Winters allegedly began screaming at organizers, threw a drink, and caused such a scene that several guests quietly left early. Lucille, seated at a nearby table, reportedly turned to her companion and said dryly, "And that's why I declined when they asked if I wanted to sit with Shell." Even more troubling to Ball was what happened behind closed doors. Multiple sources described Winters' treatment of industry professionals during private meetings. In one incident, she reportedly threw a drink in the face of a studio executive who merely suggested a small script change during a discussion. She didn't just disagree, she erupted, recalled a former producer who witnessed the exchange. 1 minute, it was a normal conversation. The next minute, the poor man was wearing her cocktail. Lucille was furious, not only by the disrespect, but by the public humiliation of someone in front of his own team. What troubled her most was the growing belief that Shelley's outbursts weren't always uncontrollable. Many observers noticed that Winters' explosions tended to happen when she wasn't getting enough attention or when things weren't going her way. Lucy had a theory about Shell, the writer explained. She believed Shelley learned early on that if she caused enough chaos, people would give in just to make it stop. Lucy despised manipulation of any kind, but this kind, loud, disruptive, and strategic, offended her deeply. Despite her private distaste, Lucille remained professional when their paths crossed. She attended some of the same events and never caused a public scene. Her strategy, according to friends, was simple: keep a safe distance and always make sure someone was standing between them. A tempest of fury gave way to unexpected loyalty. How did Lucy see it? Stay tuned to find out. Vivien Vance, from rival to sister. This may be the most surprising name on Lucille Ball's list. After all, Lucille Ball and Vivien Vance eventually formed a deep friendship that lasted until Vance's death in 1979. On screen, Lucy Ricardo and Ethel Mertz became one of the most beloved female duos in television history. To audiences, their bond felt warm, loyal, and unbreakable. Behind the scenes, though, the early years were anything but gentle. The friendship between Lucy and Vivien was real, revealed a former I Love Lucy writer, but so were the wounds. They fought like sisters, which means they fought dirty and knew exactly where to aim. The trouble started almost immediately after Vivien Vance was cast as Ethel. Multiple accounts say Lucille was concerned that Vance, who was 42 and only 2 years older than Ball herself, was too attractive to convincingly play the older, dowdier neighbor. That fear led to the infamous contract clause requiring Vance to stay overweight for the duration of the show. Vivien felt humiliated, explained a friend who knew both women. She was getting the biggest opportunity of her career, and the star was basically telling her, "You need to be less attractive or you're gone." It was a terrible way to begin any working relationship. The tension went both ways. Vance could be sharp and cutting with herself, especially in the show's early seasons. According to several sources, she referred to Ball as that tough old broad and openly complained about Lucille's controlling nature on set. One argument in particular became legendary. Vance believed Ball was intentionally drawing attention away during one of her rare spotlight moments in an episode. After rehearsal, she stormed into Lucille's dressing room and accused her of stealing the scene. She called Lucy controlling, jealous, and old, recalled a crew member who witnessed the aftermath. Lucy snapped back that Vivien should be grateful she had a job at all. It got ugly fast. What separates Vivien Vance from the others on Lucille's list is what happened next. Over time, the hostility softened. As the show continued and both women matured, mutual respect slowly replaced resentment. They realized they were stronger together than apart, said the friend. Lucy came to value Vivien's talent and loyalty. And Vivien came to understand that Lucy's perfectionism wasn't about control, it was about making the best show possible. By the 1970s, their bond had grown into a genuine friendship that endured until Vance's death from bone cancer in 1979. Lucille was devastated, a reaction that showed just how completely their relationship had transformed. Lucy never forgot being called controlling, jealous, and old, said a longtime friend. But she also never forgot how Vivien stood by her during her divorce from Desi Arnaz, when many people in Hollywood turned away. The friendship was real, and so were the scars they gave each other along the way. So, now that we have seen the 7 actresses Lucille Ball exposed as evil, let us get to know who she really was and how she changed the entertainment industry with her talent. Lucille Ball, the woman behind the legend. Lucille Desiree. Lucy Ball was more than just a comedian or actress. She was a groundbreaking force in Hollywood. Recognized by Time in 2020 as one of the most influential women of the 20th century, Lucy's career spanned comedy, acting, producing, and even studio leadership. She earned 13 Primetime Emmy nominations, winning 5, along with accolades like the Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award and 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She also received the Women in Film Crystal Award, was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, honored by the Kennedy Center, and awarded the Governor's Award from the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. Lucy's path to stardom began in 1929 as a model, soon transitioning to Broadway under the stage name Diane or Diane Belmont. By the 1930s and 1940s, she was appearing in films for RKO Radio Pictures, often as a chorus girl or in supporting roles, though she occasionally landed leads in B pictures. During this time, she met Cuban bandleader Desi Arnaz, and they eloped in November 1940, a partnership that would become central to her career. The 1950s marked a new era with television, as Lucy and Desi created the iconic sitcom I Love Lucy. She continued her career on Broadway, producing and starring in the musical Wildcat from 1960 to 1961. In 1962, she broke barriers as the first woman to run a major television studio, Desilu Productions, which went on to produce legendary shows such as Mission, Impossible, and Star Trek. After Wildcat, Lucy reunited with I Love Lucy co-star Vivien Vance for The Lucy Show, which ran until 1968 with series regular Gail Gordon. She then launched Here's Lucy, featuring Gordon, frequent guest Mary Jane Croft, and her children Lucy and Desi Jr., running until 1974. Even after decades in comedy, Lucy didn't step away from acting entirely. In 1985, she took on a dramatic role in the television film Stone Pillow. The following year, she starred in Life with Lucy, which struggled with audiences and was canceled after 3 months. Afterward, she retired from both film and television, leaving behind a legacy that forever shaped Hollywood and television history. What was Lucille Ball's personal life like behind the spotlight? Let's find out. Lucille Ball's love and family life. In 1940, Lucille Ball met Cuban bandleader Desi Arnaz while filming Too Many Girls, and they eloped that November. Their marriage brought joys and challenges, including miscarriages, the births of Lucy Arnaz in 1951 and Desi Arnaz Jr. in 1953, and Arnaz's infidelity and drinking, which led to divorce in 1960. Their children's births were famously written into I Love Lucy, navigating CBS's restrictions on showing pregnancy. Ball later married comedian Gary Morton in 1961, describing him as a winner after her first marriage. She guided Morton in television production, balancing career, love, and family throughout her life. But how did the life of the famous Lucille Ball come to an end? Stay tuned to find out. Lucille Ball's final days and passing. On April 18, 1989, Lucille Ball was admitted to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles after experiencing severe chest pains. Doctors quickly diagnosed her with a dissecting aortic aneurysm near her heart. She underwent a grueling 7-hour surgery to repair the aorta and successfully received an aortic valve replacement. Despite the successful operation, tragedy struck just over a week later. On Wednesday, April 26th, while still in the hospital, Ball awoke with intense back pain and soon lost consciousness. She passed away at 5:47 a.m. PDT. Medical examination revealed that she had succumbed to a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm, an area unrelated to the recent surgery on her aorta. Lucille Ball's passing was mourned across the world. 3 memorial services were held in her honor. She was cremated, and her ashes were initially interred at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills Cemetery in Los Angeles, alongside her mother. In 2002, fulfilling her wishes, her remains were reinterred at the Hunt family plot at Lakeview Cemetery in Jamestown, New York, to rest near her mother. Later, in 2007, the remains of her brother, Fred Henry Ball, were also placed there, completing the family's final resting place. Even in death, Lucille Ball's legacy endured, cementing her place as one of the most influential and beloved figures in entertainment history. Her final curtain fell, but why does her legacy still shine? Keep watching to find out. Honors, tributes, and enduring legacy of Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball's impact on entertainment and culture earned her countless tributes, awards, and posthumous honors. On February 8, 1960, she received 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one at 6,436 Hollywood Boulevard for contributions to motion pictures, and another at 6,100 Hollywood Boulevard for her work in the arts and sciences of television. In 1964, Ball and her second husband, Gary Morton, attended Lucy Day, a celebration held in her honor at the New York World's Fair. Following advice from Norman Vincent Peale in the early 1960s, Ball collaborated with Betty Hannah Hoffman on an autobiography covering her life up until 1964. Her former attorney discovered the manuscript, postmarked 1966, along with tapes of interviews used to write it, and sent them to Lucy and Desi Jr., who managed her estate. The book was eventually published by Berkeley Publishing Group in 1997 and later released as an audiobook through Audible on July 9, 2018, read by her daughter. CBS honored Ball in 1976 with the 2-hour special CBS Salutes Lucy, the first 25 years, featuring both Ball and Desi Arnaz, marking their first on-screen appearance together in 16 years since their divorce. On December 7, 1986, she received a Kennedy Center honor. The tribute was especially poignant because Desi Arnaz, who was to introduce her, had died from cancer just 5 days earlier. Actor Robert Stack delivered the emotional introduction in his place. After her passing, Ball continued to receive recognition. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President George H.W. Bush on July 6, 1989, and received the Women's International Center's Living Legacy Award. In her hometown of Jamestown, New York, the Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz Museum and Center for Comedy preserves her legacy. The Little Theater was renamed the Lucille Ball Little Theater, and the street where she was born became Lucy Lane. Time magazine also named her one of the 100 most important people of the century. On June 7, 1990, Universal Studios Florida opened a walk-through attraction called Lucy, a tribute, featuring show clips, facts about her life, personal items, and an interactive quiz. The exhibit remained open until August 17, 2015. On August 6, 2001, the United States Postal Service issued a commemorative stamp honoring what would have been Ball's 90th birthday as part of the Legends of Hollywood series. Lucille Ball appeared on 39 covers of TV Guide, more than anyone else, including the first cover in 1953, with her son, Desi Arnaz Jr. TV Guide later named her the greatest TV star of all time, and celebrated the 50th anniversary of I Love Lucy with 8 covers highlighting memorable moments from the show. In 2008, it ranked I Love Lucy as the second-best television program in American history, after Seinfeld. For her contributions to women in entertainment, Ball was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame in 2001. The Friars Club in New York named a room after her, the Lucille Ball Room. She posthumously received the Legacy of Laughter Award at the 5th Annual TV Land Awards in 2007 and was named number 2 on the list of the 50 greatest TV icons, though a public poll placed her at number 1. In 2019, Time magazine included Ball among its 89 Women of the Year covers, honoring her as the 1951 honoree. In Celeron, New York, a statue of Ball has stood since 2009, though it was criticized as inaccurate and nicknamed Scary Lucy. Beyond her achievements in entertainment, Ball was a vocal supporter of gay rights. In a 1980 interview with People, she said, "It's perfectly all right with me. Some of the most gifted people I've ever met or read about are homosexual. How can you knock it? Lucille Ball's legacy continues to resonate, not only through her groundbreaking work in television and film, but also through the countless tributes that celebrate her enduring influence on culture, comedy, and the arts. What do you think about the actresses Lucille Ball exposed as evil? And how did she leave a legacy that is still remembered to this day? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we uncovered the dark side of Hollywood through Lucille Ball's eyes. Her revelations about these 7 actresses show that even behind fame and glamour, true cruelty can hide. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. Click the next video on your screen to dive into more shocking Hollywood secrets.